Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser on a Wednesday morning. It must be Wednesday because I'm the greatest dad again. Speaking of greatest dad, I will be the greatest dad. This time tomorrow, I will be doing my greatest dad duties and moving Layla out of the college dorm, and and then the week after, or like 10 days or so after, removing her back in because she's going to be staying in the city over summer and working on that kind of stuff, and it'll be the location for next year. So these mugs don't come easy, people. You got to kind of work for it. But everybody's in the audience. Good morning, Sir Z, Alan, Kevin. How are you guys doing? Hope everyone is well. John is not with us today. He is out and about and traveling because he'll be out until next week. So not only flying solo with you guys today, I gotta do all this American Scouser work too, which I'm finding out to be pretty time consuming. So I'll be getting onto that later today. So okay, not a lot of news. The boys are out vacationing. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I was like reading just article just before going on to yeah, it could be open with poisoning, God knows, but um just before I went on air, I was like reading an article about the boys partying out in Dubai. And I don't know what you guys feel about it. I mean, they're the champions. They have every right, but it just looks odd, doesn't it? I mean, we do have a game this weekend, and I think for the integrity of the league. I mean, it's a big game for Brighton. We were talking on the panel yesterday, like Brentford and Brighton. If things go well, they might get that European spot, one or the other. I think the eighth, as the eighth in the Premier League. So it does mean something to them. It doesn't really mean a whole lot to us, and it's kind of hard to expect that team party on a Tuesday and then play. I mean, I know they don't play till Monday, so that gives them an extra day and stuff like that. But um, it's odd to see. We're not used to it, right? We're not. I mean, it does feel like whenever we win by a mile. But obviously, they couldn't do all the stuff last time. But at the same time, I guess like they deserve it, right? I mean, that's the thing of winning that early with multiple games in hand with a freaking month to go and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean they're partying it up. They're all partying it up. It looks like it looked like in the video and stuff like that. And like I say, they do have the rights and they have earned the right to do that. It just does look odd, though, I have to say. I mean, it doesn't bug me or anything like that, but it was like interesting to see because it was almost like, dude, when is it? I'm like, we got a game, don't we? Kind of an ordeal. So I don't know how much expectations you guys have out of the Brighton game. I already did not have a lot. And then when I see something like that, I was like, yeah, probably should not expect anything rest of the season. I know already the Palace game against Kevin's boys there. Like I worry about those games, like like Stevie G's last game and stuff. Last games of the season, it's usually, especially if there's a party afterwards involved, the heads go to the party, and we've seen how this team does when they go to. I mean, even the Arsenal game, I think they came out in the second half and the heads were already gone, it felt like. And the game kind of like became a game that was in the first half, really. Looked like an easy one, but a lot of good fixtures this weekend. So we'll maybe like touch up on those and stuff like that. And feel free to throw any topics out there aside from Abdul Rahim, who throws out troll subjects over there. But feel free to the Rashford and Grealish. Yes, I mean doesn't matter if they win or lose. They win at the parties, so there's that. But obviously, the biggest news right now is the one that's going around. Which whenever a rumor, that's the same thing I feel about the Kerkez thing as well. By the way, whenever a rumor goes on this long and gains this much traction and talked about this much, it does not happen, which kind of like worries me because I would like to see Kirkes here. I would like to see a Frimpong here, but I just feel like the more we talk about it, the less likely it will be. I don't know why that paranoia is built in over there, but look at last season. How many people did we talk about for like manager possibilities? And it did not end up like happening. So I had at one point just stopped like researching managers until we did sign Slot. Then I looked into his system and stuff like that because I know way too much about Amarim and Alonso's systems that I really did not need to. What's going on, man? Good morning. Abdul Rahim keeps going. Apparently, some of us don't learn lessons. But okay, let's take a look at this. I figured like this is kind of interesting to kind of compare. Hope it's large enough for everyone. Yep, there we go. So we'll compare a little bit over here in terms of the two. Obviously, Trent is on the right hand side, Frimpong on the left hand side over here. I think there are like some like interesting aspects over here. First of all, I thought this on the bottom right here in chances created was interesting, because you would assume automatically that that would be more favoring Trent. So I thought that was kind of odd that it's going like the other way when you look at the stats over here. Passes attempted, passes completed. I think like some of these stats, as we look at them, is going to be more about the system and like what it relies on. Obviously, Frimpong with his speed is more of a runner and a guy like that's going to go up and down those wings. So that's where his strength is. You can see he does not do the long passing anywhere near Trent. But again, this is kind of like a system thing. One, it's not his strength. And two, it's not really what's looking from them. Yeah, the chances created, I thought was really interesting that there was such a discrepancy because all we hear over the last month or two and stuff like that, ever since we knew like Trent had like one foot out the door, is like who's gonna do the creativity and stuff like that. And like I say, these are again a lot of these chances created are him running down the wing and like Mo, and then crossing it in into the box, but using his speed as opposed to I think when we go down. I haven't even looked at this honestly. Like I pulled it up and I figured we would look at it live. In other words, I didn't prep for this. This is as much prep as I did. I got it all ready to go, so we can kind of like go through it as we go. So I'm assuming though, when we come to through balls and stuff like that, that's gonna really favor Trent as we go down. But I did think, like Ozan Kabak over there, that it was like a interesting to see that he has a lot more chances created. Long passes, like I see, we talking about that. I mean, accuracy goes down the drain, I think, when you only attempted 8 of them, whereas this is like 62. So obviously the accuracy is going to be less. But I really think this number here, the 40.32, is something that's when Slot sees that, I bet you he cringes because this is not Slot ball, if you will. I know he has said multiple times when you have a guy like Trent, you use his passing and you throw him in there. But I don't think he looks at this like he's looking at these. He's like, yeah, that doesn't look good to me because 40% of them connecting in those long passes is not good. And here's the thing. We've seen it. If you watch this team week in and week out, a lot of these, when they're not accurate, when he's trying to do that long switch and it doesn't take off the way it does. When it takes off, we're like, damn, man, look at that range. When it doesn't take off, it's usually in somebody's foot in the opposing team, right in the center of the field. And Robertson, who probably the pass was going to, is all the way to the left, and Trent is all the way to the right. So here we go. It becomes like an unnecessary counter and loss of possession that I know Slot is not a huge fan of. So I think when Slot looks at these numbers, he's going to be like, yikes. Crosses attempted. This kind of goes back to the chances created that Ozan Kabak is like, impressed with. I think a lot of those chances are coming from these. I find these Trent numbers really, really baffling, by the way, like the accuracy and stuff. This is not looking all time, I don't think, but still, like this is, I believe, like last season is what we're looking at. But passes completed, opposing half. That's again like interesting to me. Forward passes, backward passes. I'm sure like people will see this and cringe as well. But yeah, I mean that's true, right? Like who he's passing to. That's a fair point actually. I know you want to mean maybe more like a bash of like Nunez than anything else, but it is accurate. I mean, you are who you are passing to and how it's controlled, or sometimes like not making the run that you should make and things like that make a difference. So you can definitely see that the forward passes obviously are way over for Trent because that's his thing. But I think that's what we've done. That's what the system has done. It has told Trent, here you go. That's your strength. So do your thing. I do think, especially if we're getting Frimpong and Kirkas, we're playing a totally different system next year. So that'll be interesting to see really how the system changes, because I don't think some of these names that are being thrown around does not really fit. We can't be like, what are they going to plug in and stuff? Whereas I think the system change will be basically accommodating these guys and utilizing their skills, as opposed to utilizing Trent's skill and saying like forward passes is all you, go for it. And then same thing with, like we looked at earlier, with the long passes. Duels contested. I mean, you got to be there, I guess, to do it. Tackles made is more, actually. I thought that was like interesting, but duels contested is 77. Because I think one thing Frimpong has, I was talking about, I think on the Monday Night Podcast, that very similar, like he's very Gomez like in that sense, where he can take a wrong position, but with his speed, he can kind of like make up for it. So yeah, Abdurrahman, time is up. We'll see you again soon. Go enjoy the show from the stands. Go to the bench. Go sit down on the bench. Okay. Let's look at fouls. Fouls one. I think this is another like product of speed over there. Him having like 13 is just like a product of speed, because when you can't keep up with it, you're gonna have to yank him down and stuff like that. So I think that's where he's getting those. Obviously better in the air. Well, attempts more in the air, I guess. This goes back to the long pass thing. I don't think these percentages mean a lot when it's only looking at 1 out of 3. Mind you, this is not a lot either, but still. And then we're kind of like getting into the defensive stats over here. So the ground duels won, the success rate being that low. And I think that's like what I was referring to earlier. With his speed, he can get back into position. We've seen this in the past with like Gomez and stuff like that. So you can make a misstep, or you can kind of miss out on the tackle, maybe like dive in a little bit, not physically dive in, but put your foot in there and stuff, but then be able to recover with your speed and still defend. Whereas if you don't have this top speed that really Trent does not have, once you're beat, you're beat. You are not catching up again. I think that's one thing Frimpong has that Trent doesn't defensively. So clearances, interceptions, block shots, we're looking at those. Penalty goals conceded, I mean, gave away a penalty. Shots on target faced. I think when we come over here, there we go. Times tackled 23, times tackled 9. But the ball recoveries, I thought this was interesting, that the ball recoveries and stuff Trent was better at. So I guess I'll ask you guys, having looked at these stats and comparing them, is it an upgrade, downgrade, about even when you switch from that's probably too big for you guys. When we switch from Trent to Frimpong, where do you guys put this? So is it a move up, even move, you'll be like, we'll be where we were, or do you think we will have fallen in the right back spots? And all things considered, right? Defense, speeds, attacking, passing, and stuff like that. See, Ozan says lateral move, and I think I do agree with this. I think it's a bit of both, as Mateusz was saying. I wish Mateusz was here, because he would say a bit of both. Because I think you are gaining some things, and you are kind of like losing some things at the same time. You were never going to have, though. I mean, having said that, you were never going to have a right back that's going to have Trent's passing. That's what makes Trent unique. Like, nobody's going to be able to come in and be like, oh, we find another right back, just passes just like him, kind of a thing. Lateral move, less wages to be paid. Will you guys worry less about the defending, or having looked at these numbers, it will still be a concern for you guys? The speed thing makes it better for me. Or I mean, here's another thing. We have not seen enough of. I have not seen enough of. I mean, I don't know if in the audience anybody follows the Bundesliga closely, but I have not seen enough of Frimpong to know, oh, when it's a 1v1, this is what's going to happen and stuff like that. I mean, we've seen enough of Trent's defending where it does not look right. Like he's always going to leave the guy in the back post. He's going to get caught watching. The give and goes, he's going to fall off, and all those things that I've criticized Trent defending wise in the past. It's never been that he's not back there or anything like that. But when he does get beat, him jogging back as opposed to, I think that's going to be like a difference defensively. Frimpong is not going to jog back, and Frimpong's jog is probably the same as Trent's sprints. But Frimpong is going to go on to get back. But having said that, it's not really what we thought the replacement would be, a defensive right back. Then again, none of this is done, but there's a lot of talk about it. And usually, when there's a lot of talk, there's something going on. But I don't know if it's not as close as people make it sound and stuff. The people that I see opposing it, like opposing the move itself, are usually because they're just taking Frimpong and putting it into this year's team instead of Trent. But I don't think that's what Slot does. I mean, I don't think Trent plays a certain way because of the qualities he has and his strength and stuff like that. Normally, the right back that Slot has is not going to be playing that way. And I think you give Frimpong and, for example, Kirkez to Slot, he's probably going to play differently so that he does kind of fits. Like you get the most out of him. The new system gets the most out of what you have, kind of a thing. Yeah, I mean, because he says both things, so it's hard to disagree with the Polish prince. I'll tell you that. He will have Van Dijk and Grammar with him. I think that is true, and obviously, you have Gakpo up top. I don't know, that's like too much Dutch going on over there, but um, it should make the transition a lot smoother because obviously, I always worry when you're signing somebody from another league and stuff, the adjustment to the country, the city, and all that kind of stuff. But that will definitely help Cersei. I think you're right over there. You're gonna have Van Dijk. I really think a huge part of Gravenberg's success has been that familiarity with the manager and Van Dijk as having leadership. I've seen like Slot talk a lot about that as well. Yes, I am, because what's in Germany, what Bayern wants, Bayern gets. And I think that's just kind of like trying to get more out of Bayern is basically what. There are other people, so like throwing some names out there. I think like I saw like City's name and stuff in there too. But usually in the Bundesliga, if Bayern wants a player, they just get that guy, and that's what's make Bundesliga slightly kind of a joke at times. But that's really have all this. Can I have 5 cents for every time someone mentions Trent? Every time he gets stated on, brings Liverpool down to the Arsenal level of toxicity. Yeah, I hear you. We were actually just talking about this Thursday before we went on air. I mean, obviously, the clips that are going on air now on our channel, for example, are the ones from like Monday shows. So there's a lot of obviously Trent talk because we were talking about the weekend, and they do get a lot of traction. What I find odd is the Trent's conversation brings a lot of other fans, actually, like more than like Liverpool fans, because Liverpool, I think, Kevin, you're right in that sense, where it's inviting other fans to come in and comment. Normally in our videos we get Liverpool fan comments 80-90% of the time. I would say it's pretty 50-50. The stuff that we're getting on our like like clips and stuff, like reels and stuff that come out of our shows about Trent, are more like 50-50. They're like opposing fans to kind of like rile up Liverpool fans, or there's like probably like a lot of Real Madrid fans and stuff like that too. But when I look at the comments, yeah, I mean, if I could have, if you're gonna have 5 cents, I'll take a penny. I'm not as greedy as you are, Kevin, but because I think we would still make it. But at the same time, I think you still have to like compare, right? I mean, like what we're getting into it. That's why I didn't want to even like get into the whole booing thing and all that this morning. I think we talked about that enough. But when you look at the replacement, I think you got to kind of look at how they compare to what you are losing, because I mean, the main concern that everybody had all freaking season when we're talking about contracts is like, are we going to replace these guys and stuff like that? So obviously we've kept 2 of them, so that hasn't been an issue. And the one we lose, I think, is the one that I know I did, and I think a lot of people put in as their 3rd priority. So everybody wanted to keep Van Dijk or Mo. Those guys were always 1 and 2, and then it was like Trent underneath. So it was the easiest to replace in that sense. Obviously, the only thing you're not going to be able to replace on a right back, especially, is going to be that passing. But will you gain more with, like his speed and be able to overlap? And this is something that, I was asking the boys on Monday night. There's been a lot of talk coming from Mo and Van Dyke about, like the team improving and like signing on more players, kind of like building on the success and stuff like that. And they were almost reassured by the ownership, the board, Hughes, Edwards, whoever, that yes, like, we're not going to win and just sit. I think a lot of us thought, I don't know, maybe like 2, 3 months ago, we were talking about, hey, if they wanted to, if FSG said, if FSG went all American, as some, franchises over here do, where they go all in because of the system too, though, like the salary cap and all that kind of stuff, but they'll go all in before their guys get old, blah, 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 to win a title, and then they just like blow it up. It's the perfect time to blow it up. They're like, we just won. You guys fine? You guys should be fine for another 2, 3 years, kind of a deal. And then that's when they blow it up. So we did think a couple of months ago that this might be a time where FSG says, okay, time to blow this whole thing up. So now resign Van Dijk, now resign Mo and Trent. They have not done that. So it just feels the opposite, where you have aging guys on your team and you're like, no, this is the window where we're winning. So we're going to go all in. And I think they were reassured that we're going to get people. My point, coming back to the right back situation, is I wonder if when the conversations happen with Mo, and we, Mo has talked about in, telling slots, like, in honestly, them exchanging, I can defend, but then you're not going to get the goals. I'll stay up. How about that? It's kind of a thing. I wonder if some of those conversations were, Mo saying, I wish there was somebody with top speed overlapping, because that would enable me, that would scare teams and the left back to cover that and not be able to defend Mo as well, or get caught in between and stuff like that. And Mo has been more of a guy not taking people down the wing, because he doesn't have the same exact top speed anymore. And he has been more effective cutting to the middle, getting closer to the goal as well. So I wonder if, like, and I don't know what you guys think, maybe Mo said, what'd be nice if we had, similar to what Bradley does. I know Bradley does the inside the box runs that, when Mo goes wide. But I think maybe Mo said, hey, it would be great to have a guy with top speed who does like a lot more overlapping, because really Trent does not do a lot of overlapping. If anything, Trent has cut into the middle a lot ever since all these midfield people trying to put Trent in midfield and the inverted back and stuff like that. So he's been more central than, I would say, out wide. And really, in a lot of ways, when you look at those crosses and stuff like that, that's why I think those numbers are where they're at, because he just has not been that wide. And that could be by design. That I'm not putting that on Trent. But maybe Mo said, hey, what would be really nice is to have a fast guy who's going to be replacing. He's a club top 50? No. Is he? I don't know. See, like when you go club, I'm going to go all the way freaking back. But here's my thing. And I guess, this now, see, now, Kevin, you're opening the topic. I don't know if I'm gonna look back as a GOAT. I don't think a lot of fans are gonna go and look back at him. I think he's kind of like tarnished that. So maybe if he resigned, we're like, oh hell yeah, damn yeah, and like, so you might be right. If he resigned, if he doesn't pull what he just did, maybe we are all in agreement over here. We're like top 50. I think he's top 25 and stuff. That's what we're talking about. But I think when you go out the way you go out, you kind of tarnish that, and I don't even want to put you in a GOAT conversation, because you're not worthy of it to me. So, see, you open the can of worms again. I think, that's why this whole thing really sucks. And I think, when we were talking with the panel yesterday, I kind of wanted to get their take as people look outside. Glenn was more on probably your camp, Kevin. I mean, not, like not the booing and stuff like that, but a lot of them will have more, like I say, my whole vision of a person is that, okay, like go back to and this is not only on Trent, by the way, and this could be me being like a vindictive asshole, but like like Suarez. Like my whole vision of Suarez has been tarnished, and it will never be the same. Not because of the Arsenal thing, more than that, the whole everything, the whole biting thing and stuff like that, like him like freaking eating people on a regular basis on the pitch and stuff. I just don't like the dude, and I don't see them. Like when I look back, because your memory is kind of like tarnished and has like a bad, like it's like got stains all over it. I just can't look at it in the same light and like put you up there with everybody else. And that's where I'm at with like Trent as well now. You lost that privilege for me to think of you as someone up there. I mean, same thing with like Coutinho and stuff like that. And I think, he might be a lot better player than a Bobby or somebody like that, and I don't think he is, by the way, but like Mane and whatever. But I put those guys up top a lot more, and I'll remember him more fondly than I will ever remember Trent. And that's on him. That's not on me. That's freaking on him and what he has done. Because I'm only responsible for how I feel, but you are kind of partially responsible for why I feel that way with what you've done. Like Trevor says, I will have fond memories of Trent the player. Um, okay, what do we have? We have a couple of free kick goals, right? We have the Leicester City moments. That was a huge game. I think we won 4-0 or something like that after coming back from the Club World Cup. Obviously, the corner taken quickly. Give me a couple of other Trent moments that you will look back and be like, Trent. I think because like a lot of them are assists, right? So it's usually like the finishes that you remember. But I'd be interested to think like what you guys consider top like Trent memories. Obviously, the corner taken quickly is the one probably. But that's the thing. Like you will watch that corner taken quickly. I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody forgets that because I guarantee you no Barcelona fan forgets that. But I don't think anybody forgets that. But I think it's going to be one of those things that you watch and then you're gonna be like, man, this kid's is what I'm going to say. Whereas I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. I watch Bobby's like highlights or something like that, or like even Mane. Um, a lot of players really, or when we watch, like Mo and stuff down the road, when we watch Van Dyke and stuff like that, the memory is not gonna end on a sour note, and that's because of the player and how they handled themselves as opposed to what Trent's done. I mean, this is me personally, though. I'm sure everybody is different. Good morning, sir. Yes, so you must be on the boat with the gang, partying over there. But yeah, I mean, that's the shame part is that like we do keep talking about this instead of us winning the title easily. But it's kind of like human nature too, where we won and we won early. We kind of like blew our load, if you will, after the Spurs game. So now we're kind of waiting for the Palace game to party again. When is the next party? So we're waiting for the next party. And we're like in between, we're just basically talking about Trent and still talking about team. Even worse, we're actually started to plan for the future. We're talking about, uh, like Frimpong and who's going to replace Trent and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, there's a yacht party over there. He's over there DJing, dancing with the girls and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing that has to drive. I think the funny part is, when I was asking you guys earlier in the show, when I see that, it looks weird to me. And I'm like, man, I don't know if this is appropriate. There's a league still to be played. These guys are playing an important game on Monday. Not important to us, but important to Brighton, important to Brentford and stuff like that. And but at the same time, I enjoy it because I know it drives Arsenal fans nuts. That we're able to party with like 3 weeks to go. People are on a boat and shit. And Arsenal fans are talking about being the best team to get out of um, the Champions League. Slots getting smashed in Ibiza. Yeah, I mean, I okay, so it's not just me. I do not remember. I like I say, last one was Ibiza, but like when teams have won this early, I don't remember. I guess we don't follow it too, though, right? Like when City won with like I don't know, like 2-3 weeks to go, we didn't look to see what the hell City players were doing. We kind of wanted to stay away from it as much as possible. So maybe they were partying too. It's new to us. It's definitely new to me. Yes, that did not. That's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, where is the wife? Because there's way too many bikini girls running the sky right now. So, um, yeah, I'm worried about that Brighton game. I know professionalism kicks in and stuff like that, but just the fact that they have something to play for, and we really don't. I think will make all the difference in some ways. So we'll see. Like, you can't get drunk in Dubai. Really? Come on now. You can get drunk in Saudi Arabia. You can get drunk in Dubai. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm talking about, Jesus, like 30 years ago or something. Shit, now make that 40 years ago or something. You could get drunk in Saudi Arabia. So, if you can get drunk in Saudi Arabia 40 years ago, I guarantee you can get drunk in Dubai now easily. Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be an interesting season. I think the fact that we're actually, the weird thing is, like, both teams, like, us, Arsenal, are kind of like going after the same type of players. So it's going to be, Sam knows. He's like, you can drink in Dubai. Dude, alcohol availability was not limited on that boat. I guarantee you, Sergi. It was all you can drink on that boat. I guarantee you, they had cases and cases of crap to drink on that boat. So, but yeah, I see Sam knows instantly. But because probably United fans are like drinking there on a daily basis. But I mean, hey, we were talking about on the panel show yesterday. They have something. It has been so odd that after a miserable Premier League season, Spurs and United have actually something to look forward to with like 2-3 weeks to go over here, and Arsenal does not. And I think that's freaking hilarious, and I'm enjoying every moment of it because Arteta deserves everything coming your way. Yeah, see, like, man, everybody's in Dubai, huh? Like, they're like, oh, it's easy. Just ask Tom. Tell him Mr. Barrett sent you. But yeah, I don't think, like, because I know they had a thing before, but like you say, I'm talking about 4 years in Saudi Arabia where they would chop an arm and a leg or a hand or whatever, probably if they caught you, but there was like still alcohol all over the place, especially if you were like international and working there and stuff like that. My dad used to work there back in the day for like 4 or 5 years. I actually spent a year there going to a school in Jeddah. It was like an American school. It was basically all like international people. It was basically the kids of the international people working there, kind of a deal. But it was mostly American, and that's where I actually initially learned English. And I had like a ridiculous American accent. Would you believe it? That's when I first learned the language with the American accent built in. Then I did go back to Turkey. I went to an American high school, but when you don't use it every day, you kind of lose that accent over time. The Turkish starts to creep in. But then I've been here freaking for years. So it's, again, the Turkish is slowly leaving, I think. Now, when I meet people, they have no freaking idea where I'm from. So that's the beauty of it. They think I could be from anywhere. When I used to work in the city, they thought I was Hispanic. They thought I was Romanian, Polish, Turkish, you name it. Stevie G, I don't know. He's not. He has left the building, from what I remember. He's out and about, probably waiting for the next spot. I don't know if you guys caught this, by the way. Speaking of old players coaching, that was probably the Sunderland game, the EFL playoffs yesterday. That was just a crazy moments with the goal in the very, like, literally the last kick of overtime. Sunderland scores, but part of it was crush for the guys from commentary, because I was like, oh man, like, that's just freaking such a bad way to go out. But then Lampard was on the sideline, so I was like, serves him right. That's good. Thought we were Italian. No, you did not. There's no way. That was a great game, actually. I totally forgot about it when I turned it on. I think it was like the 60th minute or something like that. But then Coventry scores, and man, like, the tension, the stakes in that overtime, people just throwing their lives away in front of like tackles, in front of shots and stuff to block it. It was just nuts. It was just nuts, and it was like very enjoyable. I mean, because I don't know if you have not, you should watch the Sunderland documentary on Netflix. And so it was like, I was telling Angel, I'm like, oh, it's Sunderland. Like, we literally watched the last corner kick. I'm like, it's about to go to penalties. This is their last shot and stuff like that. And then they score from it. It's like an awkward looking goal, but just horrible defending. And man, it is such a freaking tough way to go out. But we were talking about this with my brother. I'll ask you guys that. Which way is worse? Like, going out like that or going out on penalties? Because somebody had to go out on penalties. So somebody is going to be, at least this is like the whole team kind of dropped the ball, a couple of people involved, the goalie, the blah blah, when the goal is conceded. Whereas if it's a penalties, it's one guy who missed is gonna be like shouldering all the blame over there. We were going back and forth with my brother on like which one is worse in terms of like the way to go out. Do you want to go out with the last touch? Literally, it was last touch because the moment they kicked off, he blew the whistle. So it was literally the last touch of the game for the most part. And yeah, it is a painful way to go out, but I don't know if it's a lot more painful. At least you don't have the penalty stress. So there's that. Yeah, they do have to. Who are they playing? Sheffield United, right? At Wembley. So that should be a good game to watch. I do really enjoy watching those. It feels, this feels like odd to say, but I don't know why, because I know these guys are getting a ton of money and a lot of them are loaned from like top clubs and stuff like that. But it has like what used to be, it has changed now, but like a college football versus NFL feel to it to me when I watch the championship. It's not, mind you, college football has become basically NFL, but it has that feel to me. It feels a bit more old school. I think the tackles and stuff like that it just looks like you're watching a game from like 15, 20 years ago. But when I said this on the panel show, I got like mocked by guys like like Alex and stuff with Fulham and all that, because obviously going up and down and stuff, they get exposed to a lot regularly than me just occasionally turning on a game to watch the EFL over there. But that was amazing. Really watching that was amazing. And yeah, like I say, I really felt bad. And then I was like, oh, never mind, it's Lampard. He deserves everything coming his way over there. So like serves him right. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll definitely be. I don't know when they're playing, but hopefully it's not overlapping with. I'm sure it's not overlapping with the Premier League games and stuff like that. So yeah, it will be like that. Will be a fun game, a fun event to watch. It feels like what's at stake is so big. I think because of what it takes to get there is, to me it feels bigger than a cup final, because it's not like you played 5 games along the way and got there, like had a good cup run to get there. You suffered the entire season to get to that spot, and you're this close from what you wanted to do initially. So it feels so much more tense and a lot more at stake and stuff like that. So it will, to me, it will feel even like a bigger than like a cup final or something like that at Wembley, just because of like what's at stake and what's been put into it so far. So but for us right now, all we can do is probably just watch these guys party it up for the most part and get ready for Monday. There are some good games in the Premier League this weekend. We were looking at it for our bets on yesterday's show, but so it will be interesting to see. And then we might do actually like a watch along for one of these. Let me throw it on the screen over here. But Chelsea Manchester United will be interesting because Chelsea has some in stake. I don't know, like these 2 games right here with Tottenham and United waiting for the final. I don't know if they're going to be fielding a team that's going to take the game seriously. And in both cases, doesn't matter. That's another thing to discuss, I guess. But as more than those, I think the Brentford Fulham could be a fun game to watch. Arsenal Newcastle should be a really, really good game to watch on a Sunday morning. So maybe we will grab a couple of cups of Joe and get with the gang over here and do a live watch along for that, because I do think it should be like an interesting game to watch. They only get back, no way, really? Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like that. I honestly do not like that. Because I will still care as I'm watching it. I just can't help it. I can't. This is a disease. My wife always makes fun of me, like when I do something, and it is a disease. It's not something that I'm very happy about. Trust me, because I look at other people and I'm like, how do they do that? That must be nice, kind of a deal. But playing for, like, even if I'm playing for fun and stuff like that, the competitive nature always like kicks in. So if I'm watching Liverpool, I'm gonna want them to win. I'm not gonna like get pissed off and like start cussing or whatever, but it's gonna irk me. It's not gonna feel right. I'm not gonna be like, who cares? It's for fun and stuff like that. I just can't. I don't know what it is. The competitive spirit. It's not a good habit, people. So I don't recommend it. Um, yeah, I mean that's the thing, man. I mean Spurs team, I don't even know if like the full Spurs team is good anyway, but when they field like those teams, it's like even worse, and it does not make for a good watch, to be honest with you. So um let's see. We should be sending a lot of youngsters. I don't know. I mean in some ways, yeah. No, see, unless that guy, tackled me earlier and I took his plate number, and then I'm coming back at him. But no, like not in like a dirty kind of way or anything like that. Like do anything to win kind of way. But I get really, really invested in it, and I will go, like, okay, like I'll tell you guys this. Like you're playing. I don't care if it's a Sunday league. I don't care if it's like a thing where you're playing, where like a guy like misses something or doesn't come back or whatever, and they laugh it off, and I'm like, yeah, no, because I'm still playing here. Like that's why I get upset when in those situations, because whatever I'm doing, I mean, whether it's this, whether it's playing, working, whatever, I'm giving 100. So I'm giving the 100%. I expect you to do the same. It's not fair because that guy is just. I'm like, dude, I'm here to have fun. I'm giving 50%, but then send a memo out saying like some of us are only giving 50, because then I'm probably not gonna come and give 100. And I think that's where like like that's when I get irate and stuff, and like Angel will be like, why are you getting so mad? And I'm like, because it is, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I hate to blame the entire country for this bad habit, to be honest with you. I don't want to take it out on my like all my countrymen. But it's more. I mean, like I said, it is not a great habit at all. Like I'm definitely not proud of it and stuff like that. But okay, so you guys gave it to being Turkish. Okay. But yeah, it's just like a competitive spirit thing that like whatever I do, computer games, FIFA, Call of Duty, whatever it is, like I just gotta win. I mean, when I'm gonna play to win. Okay, this has been like a great therapy session on a freaking Wednesday morning over here. But yeah, I mean, it's like yeah, it's not a good habit, people. I'm not recommending it, and I'm not condoning it, but it is what it is. I cannot change it. I have tried, and I've gotten slightly better at it, I think, but just very slightly. And it's so bad that the slight improvement is not even noticeable. But yeah, it's just the competitive spirit. I can't turn it off, and that's what the problem is. Yeah, I'm just the name of Galatasaray. It is. It's like it's yeah. See, it's don't blame the people. Blame the guy. So, but having said that, probably we'll wrap it up for today over here before I do more therapy and give you guys more of my bad habits. But the boys will be back tomorrow night with the Thursday night podcast, the Bold Crew, including Sergi over here. So they will talk about. I do hate. Honestly, see, that's different. I think when I watch preseason, I'm not watching for a win. I still don't like losing, but I'm not watching for like what I'm watching for what we're doing, what we're changing, and stuff like that. And so that's totally different to me in that sense, because I'm watching for something different, because I don't consider the competitive game in that sense. Because like you're subbing like 80 people, but I do want the guy out there to give 100%. The coding. See, I think Curtis Jones that's kind of like how he like expresses himself. If Curtis Jones was Brazilian, like I don't think it would stick out. Like it wouldn't look like nobody would complain anything about like some of the things he does. And he has taken it out of his game. Like he used to come out over there like he was a Ronaldinho or something. And I'm like, dude, this is not like like how they send the U8s out there to like now make a move and stuff like that. So and, that's not that's not what it is, but it looked like that when Curtis Jones used to play. The only thing I have with Curtis, I think he's a great player. Yeah, Jonesinho. I think that one thing that I will like him to do is release the ball a second earlier. I think that's my only criticism probably of Curtis, because I think if he did that, he's a lot more effective player, because I mean he's a big part of that midfield. I'm telling you guys, like in terms of being able to fit any spot, and I think we were talking earlier about, like, if we get Frimpong, if we get Kirkes, maybe there'll be some tactical changes and stuff like that. I'll be honest, like, Curtis is one of those guys, regardless of what you change tactically, he can find a spot for himself. So because of what he does and the wide range of things he can do, he can win the ball back, he can keep the ball, he can rotate the ball. I mean, he can do a lot of things. So whatever tactically you're switching to, he can find a role within that lineup over there and say, yeah, I can do that for you. I can do this for you and stuff. So I I really like Jones, and he's gonna be the Scouser in our team. So, but yeah, Malcolm says we will not be sober now until next season. Probably not. Sergi will be. Sergi doesn't drink. But yeah, most of us won't be sober now until next season. Yeah, we covered this a little bit ago, Malcolm. I don't see it happening. I really don't. We'll love it, but I really don't see it happening. What Bayern wants, Bayern gets in Bundesliga. So I think a lot of this talk is, look, normally anybody who follows the channel knows I can't stand the transfer season, but this off season, it's pretty obvious that it will be a busy off season for us. So the rumors, any rumors that do come out, are a bit, and we don't know what kind of player we're going to go after. I think, like, before we could say that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Kind of like Sergi's Kevin De Bruyne thing. That doesn't make sense. So there were like rumors in the past you could dismiss right away. It's not a club player. That won't be happening and stuff like that. Now we really do not know like what kind of a player that Slot wants or how we're going to play and stuff like that. So to me, it's odd. Like, anytime a rumor comes out, like even the Frimpong thing, like normally a lot of people diss in the Frimpong thing or diss in the Frimpong rumor because it does not make tactical sense right now. He's not going to replace Trent for what Trent does. But I think Trent does what he does because that's what he can do. This guy is going to come in and do his thing because that's what his strength is. So every rumor kind of makes sense in a way, but within that, there are business things. And I think, like, going back to the words thing, I just don't see that happening. And a lot of now all these agents know that, Liverpool will be busy. A lot of, like, the top big six. So it's an easy way. If you want to increase your price, you just like throw that out there and be like, so and so is interested in monitoring and stuff like that as well. So is that, see, we like watching it. Where are you located, Mr. Barretts? Because I don't know, it's a sign of it's a sign of problems when we wake up like 8 or 10 in the morning and start drinking. Not that some of us don't do it, but I think when you go to a pub and watch it, it's like Vegas. There's no clocks. You don't know where the hell what time it is. So everybody's drinking, watching a game and stuff. But it's kind of hard. I usually have the cup of Joe as I'm like watching the games because it's too damn early. I'm not a big drinker anyway, and it's like way too early. So East Coast, you have an extra hour, so you can almost do it like brunch and get away with it over there. It is free to dream, man. You dream away. But I just don't think it's happening. I would love for it to happen. Trust me, I really, really love the player. I would love for it to happen. And I think that's the closest thing we can get to Soboslai in that sense. Plus, he gives you like better passing and stuff like that, and he gives you the running. So I do like it. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's happening just because of Bayern being in the equation. Unless Bayern says, yeah, no, we'll pass, then it's an open game and you can kind of go for it. And bear in mind, the more I like watch this stuff, I'm hearing a lot of like City going after an 8 and a 10. And so a City would be after a player like that. Right now, though, and that's why I think City has an interesting game this weekend, too. Actually, yeah, they play Bournemouth. That was actually my Tonali's pick. The City unknown, the thing I like about City being like up and down and stuff, it kind of helps the cause because I think we are a more attractive destination because of the stability and knowing what's going to happen next season a bit more than you do with City. So when I see these City draws against Southampton and stuff like that, I'm like, good, because if they were starting to roll, I think they were like, oh, they're coming back, kind of like a deal. So, oh, I did not know this. You're in Singapore. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, you can drink away, man. Not to mention you're in Singapore. But yeah, you can drink away. Then it's like a nighttime over here. It looks a little awkward and brings the rumors of having problems when you start drinking at like 8, 9 o'clock. Yes, it does. I don't have a lot of hope in that one. And I know we talked about in the past, if we don't, I know we don't have a lot of hope as Liverpool fans, but when we talk about on the panel and stuff like that, a lot of fans around Premier League do not have a lot of hope of getting something that, well, what we feel like they should be getting. So I don't think in the past, last summer, I think we said, it might affect how players think in terms of like, do you want to go to um, Manchester City, and what happens if they drop, like like they're taking points away or dropped or relegated, whatever. I don't think any players thinking that right now, and that alone tells you that probably not much is going to be uh coming out of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any much is coming out of it, to the point, even if there is, I think the narrative is not out there like it was before, where players might be like, yeah, but what's going to happen? Because there were a lot of rumors last summer that players who were going to City or City were interested in were trying to get something in their contract saying that, but if this happens, I'm out. And I don't even think that's going to be a thing this season. Really, I really don't think so. So, um, yeah, pretty much. Though, I mean, that's basically where we're at. Unfortunately, that's pretty much what's going to happen. I would love for him to stay. Really, I don't know if he will want to stay. And really depends on what we do. I think in the off season and stuff. I love Joe, and we forget. I actually forgot. I was watching. I don't know. I found one of these YouTube polls, uh, and I saw that it was the City game, and Joe was out there. I totally forgot about that, and we forget how good he was along Van Dijk. The kid has been so freaking unlucky with injuries, and some of them have been like contact injuries and stuff like that. So I would love for him to be, around and like do, what we need, but I don't know. I don't know if that's what he wants. He might want to go somewhere where he's going to play regularly. He deserves to. With the World Cup coming and stuff like that, he might want to get, like regular appearances, because I think then he would go to the World Cup. So that's like the tricky parts. I do want the best for the kid. He's one of those guys that, even if it isn't with Liverpool, I would want the best for him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, I mean, getting his goal would be great. We always like dreamed of these scenarios where I don't think he's gonna play on next like end of the season, right? I don't think like he's ready to go or anything like that. But yeah, I really love Joe, like as a personality and how he carries himself and what he does on the pitch and stuff like that. I feel like he's always been scapegoated, even when he was not at fault. And he was a guy that, dude, playing right center back in this team is a pain in the ass. So he had to do that and cover the right back and stuff like that all this time. So it is not an easy job. I know having Van Dijk next to you playing the left center back definitely helps the cause. And that was like a great duo. He has the speeds. I mean, obviously we haven't seen him in a while and stuff like that since then. But yeah, I would love for him to come back because I think he would be a great like 3, 4, 5 option for center back. He can play right back. He's played left back. He's played defensive midfield. So the versatility comes into play. And really, we don't know what's the, I mean, Slot obviously saw enough of him and obviously gave him the starts over, like, he gave him time over Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa was fit at the time when Gomez was out there. So I think he ranks Gomez above Kwanzaa. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We're going into a very interesting offseason over here. The fact that the window is split also makes it more interesting. And knowing Liverpool, I am hoping that it will be like done in a manner where we take care of the business, at least the most important business in the beginning, and then like see some opportunity, cares or like signings, if you will, in the second part of it. Yeah, he's young, man. He's been around forever. Like I think he was been around since like 18, so we think of him as a lot older. But that will be it for me today. Like I say, I was wrapping it up like 15 minutes ago. We went all over the place again. But yeah, do join the gang tomorrow night. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like, thumbs up, notification, whatever. Press all those things except the thumbs down underneath the screen over there. And do join us. Join the gang tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. I'll be back bright and early Friday morning with another cup of Joe. That's when Friday is when we're reckless. So I'll be here for that. Have a great rest of your day. just keep drinking, get on boats, and whatever it is that we do as Liverpool fans now. And we'll see you guys here tomorrow night.